Okay, we're just gonna get started. Sorry, new OBS layout, so I get to learn OBS all over again, just like we always do. But, regardless, hello, hi. I got some good news today. My diploma came in the mail, which means I am officially done. I know I was already done, like I had done the things, they'd graded me, they'd done all that, but now I have the piece of paper that says I did it. I'm not going to show it on stream because it has my legal name and a bunch of other shit I don't want out there in the world. At least not in full. Oh, sorry about that. That's just, I didn't want to wait for the iron to warm up, but I wanted that to lay flat, so we wet it. Anyways. Totally normal. But yeah, I got some really good news. That's really exciting. I am officially the first generation college student and first generation master's student, and I got it with distinction, so fuck yeah. It's been 3 seconds. In the spirit of just kind of like keeping the good vibes going, I'm just gonna play some shit that I've been wanting to play that I haven't been able to. Like I just haven't gotten to it. And one of them is the Subliminal demo. I speak English. So I'm actually gonna pop that on, and we're just gonna go to demos. Although I think the game comes out at like the end of this month or some shit. But we're gonna play that just to start off with, and then we'll go from there. So let me launch it and all that shit. But yeah, no, I can't express how happy I am and how excited I am and how cool it is to just have, again, I know it's a piece of paper, I know it's kind of bullshit, but like, I did it. I did the thing. Hi, Subliminal. You're so loud, girly. You're so loud. We're gonna set it up and then I'll relaunch it so that everyone can see it loading, because it does have like a load disclaimer and stuff. Pre-caching shaders. Yeah, that's fair. And also I need to like, it's not at the right anything. I've launched it once before and I didn't really like do what I was supposed to do and set it up because I am not a professional. Graphics. Not the resolution being like wonky as hell. What is going on? The base resolution that the game will run at if the resolution is set to, okay, 100. Weird, but okay. Okay, we're just gonna put it there. We'll keep it windowed. Okay. It's playing on the correct audio, but it's not. There we go. That's better. Okay. Bet. Alright, let's switch on over. Do this. Do that. Hell yeah. Okay. So let's do that, and then we're gonna relaunch it so you can see the launch sequence because it's cool. I say it's cool, it just has like a little warning and it's you know, vibes and shit, so give it just a sec. Ah shit, I got lipstick on my straw. And also, yeah, we're streaming with makeup because I fucking felt like it. I love how, there it goes, okay. Basically, the game contains flashing lights and shit, so be careful if you are sensitive to those things. Why doesn't it want to stay in full screen? It's so weird. Whatever. Alright. Let's crack in. Coming soon. It's on my wish list. Because I'm really fucking excited about this. Did it say remember? Look how pretty she is. God, she really is pretty. Oh my god. Oh. Hold on. Hold on. Can I turn down that head bob? Your girl gets, your girl gets motion sick.
I imagine you're feeling a tad disoriented.
Yes, I am, British man.
Like a sock that's lost its pair in the dryer of existence.
Woo!
Not to worry. This is perfectly
Bouncy.
normal. To start, your name is ChillHop, and this vast void of nothingness that we're currently floating in is your mind.
Is it?
It's not always empty, of course. We're just doing a bit of maintenance at the moment. And actually, that's precisely why I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm here to maintain my mind. Hell yeah.
I see you've centered your attention on our childhood
C and
basement.
L. So Caleb
This is a
and
great
somebody?
start, but not exactly what we're looking for. Our memories here and their corresponding feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and
Hopefully
suppression
that's
guilt
a good
are
balance.
rather inconvenient. So, while I find a way to properly reorient onto
Is that the clock from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared?
please find a way to occupy yourself. I'll be back momentarily.
I mean, our name is Caleb. Can I have the C, please? Thank you. So we're just gonna... The reflections are so realistic, it's actually terrifying. Because, like, you can see, like, it would be a great bit while you're doing this to just have something come through that door. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So I can pick it up. I can't, like, look at it, though. That just throws it on the ground again. Okay. I'm over here, like, scrolling through everything just to see. There's a Y on the floor. Can I put the Y on the fridge? I can. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can find all the letters then. That feels like a worthy use of time. Oh god. What does it say? I just want to be happy. Nah, I'm kind of busy. I'm finding letters. Can I, like... Can't play with the Legos. Can't play with that thing. Can't play with that. Can't play with that. Okay, I want to play with stuff, though. Let me touch things. I mean, like, you'll let me pick stuff up, but you're not letting me really, like, interact with it. Game? Game? I want to be... Not the 90s cup. I just want more letters. Do you have more letters? Oh, you have an I. It says rot. I wonder what that's... Is it like a longer word? No, it looks like it's just rot. Okay. This is definitely a comfortable home. Oh, well, that makes it feel a little less creepy. Where's this door go? No, not allowed. Not allowed. Okay. I know I need to do the thing to progress the game, but why would I do... Oh my god, is this one of those leapfrog things? I feel like I had one of these as a kid. Oh no, that looks way different. I just recognized the color scheme. I had one of the, like, boring reading ones. I loved that thing. Okay. I think I've found all the letters, maybe. Maybe I behave and turn on the TV. Not the Samsung. Oh, okay. Is there a remote somewhere? A Nerf gun. Yes! Okay. So with that one, left click works. Why doesn't left click... Doesn't work with that, though. Wait a minute. Can I play the Game Boy? I'm sorry, the entertainment? No, I can't. I'm not allowed. Is there like a remote or something? For the TV? Oh, I probably have to plug it in, huh? Duh. Oh yeah. So smart. Oh. Oh god. This really does bring back memories. It's exactly what TV used to be like. I always wanted one of those rainbow drawing things. I loved that show as a kid! Fucking The Price is Right. Ooh! It lights up. But it doesn't do anything. Can I rotate it or anything? No. Okay. So the only thing I really can do is shoot the Nerf gun, which is... like, that's fine. This looks so much more, like, sinister than I'm sure it's supposed to. I'm sure it's just supposed to be, like... There we go. Just, like... Oh, nice. Okay, I can pick them back up. Oh, but I do have to put the gun down in order to do that. Okay. Let's just pick them all up then. But yeah, it's just so much more sinister seeming because, you know, it's kind of dirty and dingy and spooky looking, but I have a feeling it's not meant to be sinister. But then again, we are in our mind, and he did kind of hint that it is sinister, so maybe I'm just painfully optimistic. How many times did we shoot? I don't really remember. Can I unplug the TV? It's pissing me off. No. Okay. Okay. Can I do some shit that would probably piss off my parents? Yeah. Okay. That's enough of that, I guess. Oh. Space to switch hand. Right and left click to move. What time is it? Because it shows the channel navigation, right? Tab and draw. God, I really did love that. 12 p.m. Okay. Well, 12:19. But it's like it's 12:19, which is fuck. Why am I fucking this up so bad? So technically I could do that, but it's whole numbers, so because like it's not really, it doesn't like that. Okay, sure, whatever. Is this an urn? Why? Okay. I mean, it was 12:19, right? Am I just nuts? No, 12:19, 18, 19, 20 seconds. Okay. So on that note, then I really should... This technically... Maybe I have to do it before the time? No. Or maybe this isn't a thing at all, and I'm just being needlessly picky about it. Why Caleb ill? Why is he sick? Why is he the illest? Oh! Use mouse to rotate, E to collect. Okay. So that... Oh, I just didn't line up Caleb enough. Great, cool, whatever. So then there's probably something for everything. Maybe 35? I thought it would be the time that it is right now, but maybe it's just a time that has to do with this. Wait, did it fucking say 12:35? That's not... Okay, hold on. 1:35? What did it say? Show me again, because in the upper right-hand corner... At 5 and 35 minutes. So that's technically... Okay.
I'm sure it's nothing. Here.
Okay.
It seems we unfortunately don't have as much time as I'd hoped.
Well,
To pop over to a different, happier memory rather soon.
Yeah.
You're feeling a bit unsettled.
I am feeling a bit unsettled.
Don't worry. These knocks are just little intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts?
Real in any capacity. Only little flickers of our imagination.
Bruh, my intrusive thoughts are
And it looks
terrifying.
like we're going to play a little precautionary game. Quite a simple one, really. Just listen to the doors on either side of this room, and if one starts to creep open, hurry over and close it. Just a little game of focus. You've got this.
What? Does it count the one at the top of the stairs? What? Okay. Wait, I have to look through the door before I close it? That's a little fucked. Oh, there's two. Wait, no, that is that door. I don't particularly enjoy this game of making sure the doors are closed. I knew the game would be a bit unsettling, but this isn't exactly what I had imagined. I imagined more puzzles and shit, not running
Your focus is ever so slightly
back and forth between doors.
Further, please ensure this memory stays fully and entirely illuminated.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, it's the other door. You whore. I don't know what the fuck that was. Something on the floor. Christ in a Cracker Barrel. Oh my god. Why am I just like a little kid trying to stay alive? Like, what the fuck? This is some scary shit. Oh, your focus is slipping. No, it's not. I'm so focused. You whore. I'm just slow because I have little legs. No! Stop it! What is more important, the lights being on or the doors being closed? I have a feeling it's the doors being closed, but like, it's ruining me to try and do everything. Oh shit.
Wonderfully done, Kate.
Oh, thank God.
Unfortunately, it appears this memory is still exhibiting signs of unpleasantness, discomfort, and existential dread.
Like most childhood memories.
Rather than dealing with all this mess
Oh.
now, why don't we take a stroll around and try to focus on something else?
Yes, random man whose name I have forgotten. Can I close that? Am I supposed to go up here? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. That feels mature. Whoa, okay. I kind of like that. Just erase it. Okay. Is there one down here now? To erase this memory. Okay, that's locked. Oh, that's fucked up. Okay. I don't want to go in the creepy room. I don't want to go into the dark. What happens if I flip this back? Oh, you can't. Once it's gone, it's gone. Understood. Alright, let's go into the dark room then. Just a light switch there. Oh, that's not great.
Please follow the illuminated arrow to our alternate destination.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to. But also, what's in here?
Let's not waste time. We have so many joy-filled memories waiting.
Bro, what if I want to waste time? Ugh. Okay. I don't know, this seems like a weird place that you've taken me already, so why would I want to continue on this path? To go here, where the ceiling is dripping sludge.
What a lovely painting.
This is a hell of a mechanic. What in the back rooms is this shit? Okay. Can I back up? Yeah, I can. Okay. What's back here? Oh, I wasn't supposed.
Imagine all the time and effort that went into making that painting look just how it does now. It'd be a shame if it went unnoticed.
What in the fuck was that? What? What?
Here we are. Welcome to our memory of the waterworks.
This is literally that place that's abandoned in like Florida or whatever. That was the hotel was full of mold because it was right next door to this. Yeah, cannons! Can we like shoot the... I don't know why we would want to, but can we shoot the trash? Not really. It doesn't go that far. Okay.
It looks like you've left something on the floor.
A memory meter? Oh.
Galen, you found it. This is our memory meter. It tracks all those perfect little pockets of joy we experience and stores them for us. The more we explore, the more we focus on all that joy, the more this meter will fill.
I have really good news for you.
Well, that means we've successfully re-experienced all the joy that memory has to offer.
I'm really good at exploring.
No need to rush. Just keep your eyes open.
Oh, I'm Russian. I'm gonna do it faster and better than anyone else. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm tall enough to ride this ride, so I can go up here. Ooh, that's spooky. I can't wait for this game, the full version, to come out. I 100% am gonna play the absolute wildness out of this. 62 pounds. We have a weight limit. Every rider, regardless of age. I feel like that should be regardless of height, because they're checking our heights. Ooh, this is fun. Hell yeah. And we get to ride in the front. Gotta love the front. I expected to be going down the red slide for some reason, so it is kind of tripping me out that we're on the blue side, but... The kid laughter doesn't sound very happy. It sounds more like crying. Oh, and that doesn't sound like a good scream. Oh, this is very cool, though. God, it's so good.
Wonderful. We've got our first few ticks on our memory meter.
Did we? We did! Ooh, okay. How do we... Isn't the exit usually, like, somewhere else? Do not enter. No, they just do it this way. Okay. Okay, okay, sure. Oh, I want to do the red one. It's like the Dragon's Den. At the one I used to go to as a kid. Okay, so we've done that. That seems to be the bottom. I don't want to erase it. I wanna partake. Where else am I oh.
You see, this is precisely the muck I'd spoken of earlier. Oh, rotten. Much like that sandwich you've left forgotten in the back of your fridge.
Who's forgetting sandwiches?
To it, of course, but it is unfortunately quite unpleasant. Certainly not the kind of thing we want crowding this lovely memory. Why don't we get this washed off? I see you've managed to find a rather gloomy corner in this otherwise joy-filled memory.
Is this like how my little sister died or something?
Whatever feelings cause you to seek this out, and return to the happier parts of this memory.
Yeah, but what if I don't wanna? What if I wanna know? Let me know. I wanna process my trauma, not ignore it. How else can I get up there? There's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a way. Huh. Oh, okay. Sure. You can blast people on the lazy river. Oh, it's open a little bit. Can I, like, get under there? Not really. I think I'm way too invested in the possibility of exploring trauma. What's over here? That's where we came in. That's the blue slide. God, I could almost smell this place. Like... Wait, no, this is the blue slide. Is this the other conceptual safeguard? Yeah. Huh. Okay. Not smile. Alright, I guess I have to erase to move forward, which is... Not the poor character sounded like he's getting drowned every time I'm walking here. Oh no. It's pretty bad. Oh, I don't wanna... I wanna go explore and be rotten. Like, come on. I really like the graphics. Granted, my computer can't run it at full, you know, beautiful integrity because I am on my laptop of all places, but it is very cool. Oh, well, that's kind of boring. Can I go up here now? This is where I already was. Does it change anything to come back up here? And, like, do this again? Same weight, so it's not like I've grown or something. Oh, the slide is fully gone. Oh my god. Okay. Does it change anything? Nah, just the whole game changed. The only thing you could do in here is now gone. I could have looked up and noticed that with my eyes, but no, had to walk all the way up. Okay. Let's try maybe going up one of these other ones again. Oh, this is opened up now. That's nice. Okay. We'll deal with that in a sec. Is one of the rules to smile? That's kind of jacked up. Freaky ass. Come on. So mean. Fine, I'll get in the lazy river. Yeah, children screaming. Go against the grain. This one's still pumping, though. It's just a faster way to get around. Feels faster. Can't go up there. That's still running. I want to go up that one so bad. Ooh. Okay, that's pumping again. Blue slide is gone. Those are back on. But I still can't ride any of them? Why not? What am I missing? Towel on a trash can. We're doing great. I desperately want to go on one of the other slides. I don't like the blue slide. This blue slide's not even there anymore. It's gone. Let me do something else. So, is there something I need to do at the top of the blue slide? Because why would it let me go up there if not? There's got to be something. Something I'm missing or not seeing. That's still locked off. I really wish it would let me... Yeah. Yeah. I think if I say that enough times, it won't change anything, basically. Okay. Yeah, there's gotta be a reason that I can go up on the blue slide again. Despite... But then again, it's opened up like the lazy river. And that doesn't really make sense. Because there's not really reason for that either. Oh yes, my talent of making a 3-second puzzle 2 hours long. already open. I don't need to wait. Please wait for an attendant. But I can't hit the button. There's nothing I can do up here. There's nothing I can really, like, mess with. So what's the point of being able to come back up here? Just to see? Oh, the red one seems to be the one making all the muck. Is there something I can do to fix that? I don't really know. Okay. This doesn't really make a difference. Doesn't open that up. I thought I was gonna be able to, like, jump to progress the game. You know what I mean? Ooh, wait a minute. Can I jump from here onto the railing? And then down into the red one? No, I can't really jump high enough. Oh, but I really want to. I want to so bad. Oh, no. Okay. Maybe we do the lazy river the correct direction this time and see if that does anything. Maybe I'm just supposed to observe? No. Childhood trauma. That's literally, this is just childhood trauma, the game. Okay, let's go with the lazy river this time. Because maybe I just jacked it up. I can't leave. Take a break. Prolonged exposure to chlorinated water may cause irritation to guests with sensitive skin or asthma. Showering and taking breaks may help prevent irritation. Further information on proper treatment should be directed to a lifeguard supervisor. Guest satisfaction and safety is our highest priority. Somehow I don't believe that's how that went. I wonder, can I pick up an inner tube and write it on an inner tube? Is maybe that the like vibe? Because there were inner tubes at certain spots just kind of laying around. Can I grab one of those? Although it kind of looks like the inner tubes are gone. So maybe that was a bad idea. Yeah, they're gone. Oh. Smile! Okay. What's back there? How do I get back there? Maybe I'm fundamentally misunderstanding the game. Wristbands required for entry. There was like a sign that like said the rules, and the last rule was to smile, which is kind of creepy. But, you know, I just put it up to an old man trying to be relatable when making the safety stuff. Oh, wait a minute. He said wash it off, right? He said wash off the... Duh, dumbass. I'm such a dumbass. Jesus Christ. That took so long. If I had just listened to him from the beginning. I kind of just didn't give a shit. to listen to the very clear instructions. Do I need to clean the pipe? Can I clean the pipe from here? Not really. Is there one that can clean the pipe? Not really. Do I need to clean all of the spots? Wait, there was one in that weird corner, right? Yeah, there's some back there. Can't really reach it from here. There's a little bit there. I can't really... I can't wash the pipe. That's just kind of there. If I do this... Have I just missed enough of it that it's angry with me? Oh, okay, yeah.
Ah, yes, all right. That's quite enough. Unfortunately,
I just hadn't cleaned it
still somewhat distracting.
well enough.
But we can fix this. Please continue directly toward the large secondary slide tower.
The large secondary slide tower. Is that this one? No, it's the other one. It was a 50-50 shot, and I got it wrong. Let's try.
Wonderful choice, Caleb.
Okay. Is this the green tube? Please tell me it's the green tube and not the red one that just burst. Yeah. Okay. But what about...
Don't worry about that. It's just a little mess. Why don't you try out this green one instead?
Fine. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to wait for the... Okay. You know, my memories are awfully, demanding. Oh, I don't like how slow that starts. Push a little harder. Oh, just pitch black going down the... Okay. Yep, shout out to me making that demo way longer than it should have been. I did get to explore a lot, but that was... It's already on my wish list. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay. Well, I enjoy it. It's cool. I think making a demo an hour long is a talent. It comes out at the end of this month, and I cannot wait. It's a lot like what's it called? Stanley Parable and like Superliminal and that sort of game. Honestly, I'm feeling like really suddenly very ill. So I'm gonna stop streaming for today. But like I'm okay, I just feel ill. And sometimes I have a flare up that makes me feel not so great. So I'm gonna go take care of that. But thank you so much for joining me for this very, very short stream. Pardon me. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are. Please stay safe and stay healthy and be kind to yourself and everyone else whenever you can. And I am gonna go. Bye. Sorry.